Welcome to the stream. Wow. This could be the biggest stream since who knows when, given what's going on and the news that has broken. Even since we finished today's show, already just major news relating to Donald Trump. And before we even get into the news, if you want to find an indicator that tells us things are really getting bad for Trump, PPP has been doing a poll for about 3 months asking Americans, do you want to impeach Donald Trump? Do you support impeaching Donald Trump? Now, it doesn't matter that most people don't understand that impeachment isn't actually the removal of the president, but the beginning of proceedings to figure out whether the president will be found guilty or not of some wrongdoing. Doesn't matter that PPP is a left-leaning polling firm because they've been doing this poll for a while. And typically, you had a split between people who favored, supported, and opposed impeaching Donald Trump. There is now a plurality of Americans, 48% of Americans, according to this poll, now support the impeachment of Donald Trump, compared to only 41% who oppose the impeachment of Donald Trump. And imagine if more people knew that impeachment doesn't mean remove the president, it just means start the process. And impeachment is sort of like an indictment of sorts. And a lot of people believe that saying I want to impeach means I want to remove Trump today. That's not even what impeachment means. Of course, Bill Clinton was impeached, but as you remember, he was not removed from office. And the numbers just stunning and not good for Donald Trump. And we're going to go through all the breaking news. So to catch you up, number one, over the last 24 hours, we found out that Donald Trump, the day after firing James Comey, presumably, by all logical assessments, because he wanted to interfere with the investigation by the FBI into the Trump-Russia scandal. The day after that firing, Donald Trump invites to the White House Sergei Lavrov and Sergei Kislyak, two Russian diplomats, the latter of whom, Kislyak, is the Russian ambassador at the center of so many of these meetings that Trump associates lied about. Meetings with Jeff Sessions, meetings with Michael Flynn, meetings with Jared Kushner. That guy gets invited to the Oval Office. And not only are they invited to the Oval Office, American media is not allowed to cover it. Russian media is allowed to cover that visit. And the only pictures from that visit are Russian media pictures. Okay? We knew all that up until before yesterday. Yesterday, we learned, based on a Washington Post report, which Donald Trump, I want to be super clear about this, Donald Trump has not denied leaking secret information to the Russians. He has defended doing it, okay? He has tried to justify doing it. We learned, as you probably have heard by now, that indeed Donald Trump leaked, I don't know if leaked is even the right word, spilled the beans on highly classified information that my immediate suspicion when we heard that it was information that the U.S. got from a Middle Eastern ally was that it was Israel. It now appears that indeed it was Israel that gave Donald Trump this information, which he subsequently leaked to his Russian visitors. Stunning. I mean, just absolutely and utterly stunning. That's where we were as of 3 hours ago when we finished today's program, and you can already start to see some of those clips pop up on our YouTube channel. But a lot has broken since then. This week might be the most news-filled week with regard to Trump Russia, with regard to Trump incompetency, with regard to Trump delusions of grandeur. But before we get to that, a few just housekeeping things. If this is your first David Pakman Show YouTube live stream, number one, yes, we're really live. I'm really doing this right now. I'm talking to you now. Assuming it's 6:33 p.m. Eastern Time on May 16th, 2017. If it's some other time, you may be watching a replay. Number two, Super Chat is on, okay? The chat moves really quickly during the streams. So if you want to get a question or comment in that I will read, and if there's a question in there, answer, feel free to use Super Chat. That's the $ at the bottom of the chat window. Number three, any new members or patrons who subscribe or pledge during the live stream will get a live shout out and thank you from me. I will sing your praises to everybody who is watching live with us, you can sign up for membership at davidpakman.com/membership, patreon.com/davidpakmanshow for Patreon. That is what keeps us independent and on air. And number 4, obvious trolling and hate will get you banned. What's amazing, I think 30 seconds in, one of our moderators already blocked or timed someone out. Obvious trolling and hate will get you banned. Subtle trolling probably won't, if it's subtle enough. Okay, so let's get into some of the breaking news, and then after we will get into super chats and so much else of what's going on. It's going to be a wacky 24 hours, that's for sure. Okay, what have we learned above and beyond what we knew as of this afternoon, which is Trump allegedly leaked this information. H.R. McMaster said no, he didn't. Then Trump goes on Twitter 12 hours later and explains why he did. So not exactly congruent messaging from Trump and his team. Number 1, we now have a New York Times article alleging that in the meeting, this infamous meeting, do we have tapes of this meeting or do we not have tapes of this meeting? I don't know. We will maybe find out someday. But in that meeting, Donald Trump, and I'm hesitating because it's so insane that this is what's going on, but every indication is that it's true. James Comey wrote a memo, fired FBI director, after that meeting with Trump, saying that Donald Trump asked him to end the investigation into Michael Flynn, which is directly connected to Trump Russia. Disgraced National Security Advisor Michael Flynn. This is being reported right now by the New York Times. If this is true, and so far, let's be quite frank, it's logically fallacious to assume that because a past assertion was true, a new assertion is true. But as a general concept, the New York Times has not been wrong in their reporting on Trump-Russia much. And we now have an article by Michael Schmidt, just came out. Comey memo says Trump asked him to end Flynn investigation. President Trump asked the FBI director, James Comey, to shut down the federal investigation into Trump's former national security advisor, Michael Flynn, in an Oval Office meeting in February, according to a memo that James Comey wrote shortly after the meeting. Apparently, according to the New York Times article, James Comey was so distraught by what he had been asked to do by the President of the United States that he shared it with others and said, this is what I've been asked to do. This represents the worst of crony, business as usual, establishment, swamp-filling politics in the United States. This is someone who, by asking for the FBI director to end an investigation, by making that request, Donald Trump is saying, I don't give two shits about the independence of the judiciary. I don't care about separation of powers. I am the president, and you will do as I say, which is not something that is in line with American values and the American system of government. There's really no way to say it any other way. This is a fundamental attack, an attack on the sort of foundation, the legal foundation, the administrative foundation that the country is built on. And there will no doubt, my prediction is over the next 24 hours, we will get denials that this is something that Trump asked James Comey to do. And it will probably be replaced by some other scandal because that's the way things have been going, okay? So that is major. Comey being asked by the president, allegedly, to stop an investigation. Shouldn't law enforcement decide when an investigation should start and when an investigation should stop? Isn't that something that only the individual agency doing the investigating could really decide when is appropriate? How would a president know when it makes sense to start or stop an investigation? And if you imagine the president going to the FBI and saying, hey, can you stop that investigation into a plot to bomb an American city? We would all say, wait a second, it's the FBI that informs the president when it's time to stop the investigation, not the president that demands of the FBI. So this is an absolute and utter abortion. Number two that has leaked or that we've learned since we finished our broadcast program earlier today. Donald Trump, according to a new report, didn't know where the intelligence came from when he leaked it to those Russian officials in the Oval Office the day after firing James Comey. This is now yet another part of the building scandal. The Independent is reporting that the president wasn't briefed on the sources and methods relevant to that ISIS-related information that he spilled the beans on to Sergei Lavrov and Sergei Kislyak. The intelligence is said to have come from an American ally in the Middle East. My assumption was that ally was Israel. There are now some anecdotal reports saying, yes, it was Israel. And Donald Trump apparently had no idea what it was that he was even telling these individuals. And I don't know if that makes it better or worse. It seems to me to make it even worse. Shouldn't the president have... The buck stops with the president, is what I'm saying. Shouldn't the president have some sense of what it is that he is talking to not allies about, adversarial foreign nation diplomats about, before he says, hey, here's some great intel that I've got? Stunning. Absolutely stunning. We now have that revelation as well. There are a growing list of similarities between Donald Trump and Richard Nixon. I already talked earlier, I guess it was late last week or early this week, about the similarity, it was late last week, about similarities between the firing of James Comey and what is known as the Saturday Night Massacre with relation to Watergate and the Nixon administration. Richard Nixon trying to avert disaster when it came to Watergate by trying to fire the then Attorney General. Relates to this incident now known as the Saturday Night Massacre, not Saturday Night Live. And Donald Trump firing James Comey, by all indications, to try to interrupt the investigation into Trump-Russia, potentially taping conversations. We know that audio recordings were a big thing in Watergate. We now have every reason to believe that Donald Trump, that there are recordings of what's going on in the Oval Office, not just the phone system. We know the phone system has a switch which you can turn on or off to record any conversation that President Trump's phone is engaged in. But there was, in the Washington Post report yesterday that broke the story about Trump leaking secret information to Russia, it mentioned that there was an effort being made to modify the full transcript to no longer include those leaks. If there is a transcript, it follows that there is a recording. And again, recording in Watergate, recording by Donald Trump. Symptoms of extreme paranoia. Watergate, Richard Nixon, no shortage of those. Donald Trump, 2017, no shortage of symptoms of unusually extreme paranoia. And number 4, this concept that what the president does just isn't illegal. Richard Nixon, famous for that phrase, that assertion, and now Donald Trump choosing by confirming, by defending why he leaked this information to Russia. He's basically saying, if the president does it, it's not illegal. He is right in the sense that the president can choose to declassify anything by talking about it. That's a separate question from whether it's morally right, from whether it puts the U.S. at national security risk, whether it damages relationships with important allies, whether it gives information to those we are trying to capture, in this particular case, a plot related to ISIS. So this is absolute and total madness that we are dealing with. A few other things. Eric Erickson, who's a conservative, has said that the situation around Trump leaking secrets is worse than reported. That's interesting. I think we're going to find out more about that eventually. And I want to remind you, and I'll probably talk about this on tomorrow's program, that Donald Trump once demanded Edward Snowden's execution for giving what he called serious information to Russia. Did Donald Trump give serious information to Russia by leaking information that we were given presumably by Israeli intelligence and told, don't spread this around. Don't even spread this around to allies. And then in the Oval Office, Trump goes and he spills it to a non-particularly friendly nation and to Sergei Kislyak, an alleged and suspected Russian spy recruiter. Russian spy recruiter. Absolutely crazy. Trump bashing Hillary Clinton over her handling of classified information. So there is, this is scandal at the absolute highest level, and it is stunning what is going on. Those are the new pieces of information that we've learned just in the last few hours. What will we know tomorrow? Let's go to a few super chats that we have here. Fabian Scherer says with a 2 Swiss franc super chat, great update. Cheers. Never knew about super chat. Well, thank you very much. Now you know about it. Isaiah Rowe sent a $5 super chat saying fake news from Alex Jones. Yes, Alex Jones. Yeah, no comment. No further comment on that. Super chat is on. Feel free to use it. Okay, a couple other things to go through. Number one, we do have now a Patreon page, okay? We are suffering at the hands of what is called the YouTube advertiser boycott, colloquially known as Adpocalypse. We have lost, at this point, it's 2/3 of our YouTube revenue. Overnight, gone. We need to replace that revenue. And in fact, I hate to, let me even pause what I'm doing. I wasn't going to do this right now, but it's just been confirmed that one of our videos today has lost monetization. And I've just got to explain to you the level of bullshit that we're dealing with. We did a story today, okay? The video clip is live on our YouTube channel. It went live at 4:30 p.m. Eastern, about 2 hours ago. It is called Breaking. Trump revealed highly classified intelligence to Russians in the Oval Office. Video goes live at 4:30. 4:31, video is demonetized. Ads no longer running, video no longer making money. Why? We took special care in that video not to make any descriptions of violence, not to show any violence or gore. There's no profanity in this video. It is 100% FCC safe, and it has been demonetized, and I don't know why. I've reached out to YouTube. I've asked for an explanation. I've been told that they are going to look into it, and maybe I would hear something by tomorrow. Sadly, the first 24 hours are sort of the most important hours for a breaking news video. The video already has about 15,000 views according to the live count. The public count is only at 4,000. That takes a little while to update, and we are making no money on that video. And this is part of the YouTube demonetization crisis that we are dealing with, and we've got to make up this revenue. So we've done a couple things. Number one, we do have a Patreon page, patreon.com/David Pakman Show. We are over 1,500 patrons. The immediate goal is 2,000 patrons. When we get to 2,000 patrons, I've agreed to do an entire episode of the David Pakman Show from our studio with my hair what I call uncontrolled. This is what happens to my hair when I don't control it with product. And maybe against my better judgment, I've agreed to do an entire broadcast episode of the show from our studio with this hair. Once we get to 2,000 patrons, we're now just over 1,500. You can pledge as little as $1. Don't think that if you can only pledge $1, it's not worth pledging. It is, because if everybody pledged $1, we would much more than make up for the lost revenue. We also, of course, we have membership available. Membership is the number one funding source for the David Pakman Show. You can sign up at davidpakman.com/membership. And after selecting your membership and hitting the sign up button, you'll be presented with a coupon code field. And in that coupon code field, if you would like a 40% discount off of membership, you can type in I voted 17. And you know what? Obviously, it would be better if you can afford the normal price, pay the normal price. But we want people involved at any level. Use the coupon code if you want. I voted 17. And we will get to, a lot of people have already been signing up and pledging just while I've been talking here. And we'll do some thank yous a little bit later on in the live stream. Let's get to some other super chats. D.W. Washburn has sent a super chat for $20 saying, David, do you think Trump will ever be impeached? You know, if I had to handicap it right now, I think that there is a good chance that Trump does get impeached. But again, Impeachment does not mean a removal from the White House. Impeachment means that there are proceedings, the president is being accused of some wrongdoing, and then we will have to go through that process. So I think it's certainly possible that there will be an impeachment. Will it lead to a removal from the White House? That's a different question. Feral Kimchi has sent a $5 super chat asking, would you rather people support via Patreon or membership? Which benefits you the most? Listen, what benefits us the most is the biggest number of dollars possible. If you've only got $1 or $2 per month to contribute, membership, even with the 40% discount, is $3.60 a month. So if you've only got $1 or $2, do the Patreon thing. If you want something simple and you don't want to deal with how do I log in, how do I get the members stream of the show, the commercial-free video, whatever, just do the Patreon thing, patreon.com/David Pakman Show. If you're interested in the member benefits and you want to do a little more, $3.60 a month or $6 a month or whatever, by all means, do the membership thing. They're both great, okay? They both go directly to us minus some payment processing fees. I had some concerns initially that Patreon's processing fees were quite high. They've been reduced significantly, so it's very close to membership. Do what you can. Do what you're more comfortable with. Julian Carrion sent a $5 super chat with no question or comment. Thank you very much. Trey Beatty has sent a $20 super chat. Here's a few bucks to help with Adpocalypse. Have you kept up with Claude Taylor, Louise Mensch, John Schindler, etc. on Twitter? They seem to be at the vanguard of these big stories. I've kept up a lot with Claude Taylor. I've kept up a little with Louise Mensch, and I've not kept up with John Schindler. To be honest, I haven't heard of John Schindler. Let me make a note to check out John Schindler after the live stream. Yeah, and what's Claude Taylor? I haven't checked out Claude Taylor's tweets today. Breaking news: Israel provided the intelligence. We assumed that. Folks are asking for an update. Here's what I know: the EDVA has one of the heaviest dockets in the U.S. with an average of 11. I don't know what. I think this relates to sealed indictments that Claude Taylor has been talking about for a while. In any case, yes, a lot of good people to follow there. GameFire74 has sent a $16.44 super chat. Very specific amount. Thank you. I agree that the last 7 days have been pure madness. Is the media hurting its credibility by being so sensationalized or outraged? Also, how are the Trumpists not disillusioned? Cult of personality? Last part first. Yeah, Trumpists are what's called in poker, they are pot committed. They've invested so much that at this point it makes sense for them to stick it out and just see what happens and not bail on Trump, although his approval rating is back down to 38%, which is close to his record low. Is the media hurting its credibility by being sensationalized or outraged? I don't think so. The reality is that if anything, overall, I believe that what's going on with Donald Trump is being under-sensationalized in the sense that there are so many scandals that they're blending and we're losing track. Ivanka Trump getting a security clearance and an office at the White House despite anti-nepotism laws, which are circumvented by not giving her an official position. In a normal administration, that would be a 3-week scandal. It was 6 hours or 12 hours because it's scandal after scandal. So if anything, I believe that it is being under-sensationalized, if you can believe it. And certainly, by the way, if you go on Fox News, everything's fine. I mean, there's just nothing's going on. It's just, hey, the president is an economic conservative and, patriotism and all that stuff. It's like nothing is going on other than some liberals who are doing some wacky and weird stuff. Nicholas Saravia has sent a 10 Swedish kroner super chat. No question or comment. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Okay, let's do some thank yous because they've been coming in. Number one, new patrons at patreon.com/David Pakman Show. We have Glennie Fitzgerald, who has pledged $2 a month. Richard Robertson has pledged $10 a month. Sarah Tan has pledged $2 a month. Thank you very, very much. I really do appreciate that. And we've got an uphill battle here. Let's put it that way. membership, new members while we've been chatting here. John McClain, not John McCain, but John McClain has signed up with the coupon code I voted 17 at davidpakman.com/membership. Molly McDonald has signed up at davidpakman.com/membership using the coupon code. Fernando Espinoza has signed up at davidpakman.com/membership. Francis Irwin has signed up without using the coupon code. Thanks, Francis, at davidpakman.com/membership. And lastly, Valerie Applebaum has signed up at davidpakman.com/membership. So big thank you. We are dealing still with YouTube Adpocalypse. We've lost about 2/3 of our YouTube revenue. And as I mentioned, even just basic, uncontroversial videos, like our video about Trump leaking information in the Oval Office, certainly relates to political controversy, but no violence or gore or discussions of bombings or war or anything like that. Certainly no profanity, completely work safe. And disappointing, very, very disappointing what's going on right now. €5 super chat has come in from Ackwell. Thanks for keeping us informed, keeping us in Europe informed about the totally crazy shit going on at your side of the pond. My pleasure. I don't know if pleasure is the right word, but it certainly seems like the right thing to be doing. Hobbitten has sent a 20 British pound super chat. People think that you can throw a political Molotov by voting right to spite the left they dislike. But between Trump and Brexit, it seems like they hurt those who throw more the politicians they aim at. Hurt those who throw more the politicians they aim at. What do you think? You know, I'm not totally sure I 100% understand the question, but I believe that voting right to spite the left you don't like is a big mistake. I've been very clear about this. In the primary in the United States, the Democrat, I'm not a Democrat or a Republican. In the state of Massachusetts, I can choose to vote in either primary. I voted in the Democratic primary. At that time, I believed that the best choice was Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders ultimately did not win the Democratic nomination. On Election Day, the options were Gary Johnson, Jill Stein, Donald Trump, and Hillary Clinton. And I believed, and I know some of my viewers disagree with me on this, I believe that from those options, the most logical choice overall, the best choice based on experience on balance, was Hillary Clinton, and I voted for Hillary Clinton. If I wanted to try to spite the left, I could have said I'll vote Trump or Gary Johnson or whatever. Wouldn't have made a difference here in Massachusetts. But no, I don't agree with that sentiment, Hobbitten. Sandy Whalen has sent a 25 Canadian dollar super chat. Canadians care and support you. Thank you very much, Sandy. Appreciate that. Andrew Jones has sent a $2.66 super chat. Go show Curt Schilling some love on Twitter, y'all. Oh, God. What is Curt Schilling saying on Twitter now? Curt Schilling is the former Boston Red Sox pitcher who is a right-wing nut. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. And I guess he might be running for Senate here in Massachusetts, which would be pretty scary. Let's see. He's tweeting about... He tweeted 2 hours ago. Oh, this is so funny. He tweeted 2 hours ago. He retweeted Newt Gingrich saying that he's never seen such deliberate dishonesty from the Washington Post and New York Times. You know, they were right about the Trump leaking secrets to Russia thing. Trump admitted it. I got so many messages from people after the initial article went live from the Washington Post about the Trump-Russia scandal, and people saying, David, it's unconfirmed. This person denies, that person denies. And yeah, you know, Washington Post stands by it. Washington Post has been pretty good on this. This morning, Donald Trump goes on Twitter and explains why he leaked the information to the Russians. So I don't know where Curt Schilling is coming up with that, but pretty frustrating. Lady Fair has sent a $10 super chat, no question or comment. Thank you very, very much. And Sigurd Jelv, I don't know how to pronounce that, has sent a 50 Norwegian kroner super chat saying, keep up the good work, Dave. Here's a little something to help you through the bullshit. Love from Norway. Our Constitution Day now, by the way, May 17th. Yes, it is after midnight in Norway. And it is Constitution Day there in Norway, so congratulations to the Norwegians. I recently flew on a Norwegian airline, and it was a great experience. What that has to do with your Constitution? Probably nothing, but it was a good experience. Courtney Haynes has sent a $5 super chat. What do you say to people, liberal and conservative, who repeat that there is no evidence of Russian collusion? Isn't this a disingenuous argument that they're making? Yes, there is. And, when you talk about there's no evidence, what evidence do you have personally that we went to the moon, right? I mean, to pick another conspiracy theory. But we can make assessments based on the systems we have and the interrelations that we have between different systems. And we can determine whether it's likely that something is true or not. And at this point, people say, we have only a little smoke, we don't have fire. Trump firing Comey is fire. All of these things that we've seen are the fire. It's gone beyond smoke. And I think that there's very little to that assertion. And it's becoming more and more clear really just about every day, Courtney. Klaus M54 has sent a €2 super chat with no question or comment. Thank you very much. I do appreciate that. We are going to be talking tomorrow on the program, and I at the beginning of the live stream, I talked about this a little bit. A plurality of Americans now support the impeachment of Donald Trump. 48 to 47 Americans support over oppose the impeachment of Donald Trump. This is the highest number that this PPP poll has seen since they started doing that question in the poll 3 months ago. And as I mentioned earlier in the live stream, most people don't even understand, many people don't even understand, that impeachment doesn't mean the immediate removal of a president. If more people understood that impeachment just means we believe the president has done something wrong and we are going to impeach, you are just starting the process. That's just the beginning, not the end. And I think if more people knew that, you would have way more than 48% saying impeachment, yeah, that does make sense right now. We're going to be talking about that tomorrow. We also have Patriot Mail on tomorrow's program. Patriot Mail sort of relates here to, not directly, but it does sort of relate to many of the issues we've been talking about today. And so much breaking news. And you know what? It's almost pointless for me to even tell you about what's on tomorrow's show, because who knows what will happen at 3:52 a.m. this morning on Twitter, on Donald Trump's Twitter. And it could upend what we're planning on doing tomorrow. GameFire74 has sent a $3.91 super chat. Can you do updates on the special elections? I should do that. I'm going to try to do that. And yeah. Okay. Every once in a while, I like to just take a quick scroll through all the comments. A lot of people getting themselves banned in the comments, which is never surprising. I have fully deputized our moderators. They know exactly what the standards are that we are applying. Obvious trolling and hate will get you banned. Someone just talking about a lot of just very, very lame, like what someone just posted, for example, that they want to perform fellatio on a horse. I mean, you're just blocked. There's no warning. I've just blocked you. Don't worry about it. RDR and the other mods that are here. It's just nonsense. It's a distraction. We're not going to allow it. Okay. eKitKat JJ has sent a $2 super chat. We need to know what's going on so we can step up. Well, I don't know with what. You need to know what's going on with what so you can step up, but I'm doing my best to keep you informed both about what's going on with the David Pakman Show and what's going on with news and politics. Let's get to a few more thank yous here, okay? New members coming in fast and furious here. Continued new members. Joseph Sharp has just signed up at davidpakman.com/membership. Jennifer Kishpaw has signed up at davidpakman.com/membership. Leslie Yellow has signed up on our website. Tyler Youngblood, thank you, Tyler, for signing up for a new membership on our website. John Taylor is a brand new member, as is Fariel Vandenhoevel. Thank you. Thank you for your support. Really, really appreciate it. Also, new patrons making pledges, small and large, at patreon.com/David Pakman Show. Colleen Harrison has made a $2 per month pledge. I really, really appreciate that. And Max Ryan has also made a $2 pledge at patreon.com/David Pakman Show. Really important. We are at a 66% deficit of YouTube ad revenue because of what is known as YouTube Adpocalypse. I don't want this to affect the show in any way, which is why we're doing everything we can to replace as much of that income as possible using two means, membership as well as Patreon. So thank you very much. Let's get to a few more super chats here. Okay, Coco's dad has sent a 20 Canadian dollar super chat with no question or comment. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Mr. Twazo has sent a 2 British pound super chat. Do you think Trump is 100% loyal to the United States or a faker? I don't know if it's a question of being a faker. Trump is loyal to the U.S. to the extent that it serves his interests, and those are political interests, business interests, but more importantly, his sort of interests related to his personal ego. To that extent, he will be loyal, but that's about as far as it goes, and I think his long history of business dealings tells us a lot about that. Pat Everhart has sent a 10 US dollar super chat with no question or comment. Thank you very much. Titanbait has sent a $5 super chat. What do you think of the 2-term cap on US presidencies? Do you think it would be more democratic to have no limit like with Franklin Delano Roosevelt, or is he an outlier? I think that a 2-term limit on president is okay. You could make a case for 1 6-year term, as some countries have. Where we really need term limits is with members of the House and Senate. And I know that there is an argument that sometimes people will make saying, listen, David, you are going to term limit a lot of people. You are going to term limit a lot of good people out of office. And we need good people. I sort of think that risk is far outweighed by the fact that if we had term limits in the House and Senate, number one, we would ideally get a bigger diversity of voices. You could still have mostly rich lawyers being elected, but it's at least possible you might have more voices. And you might also eliminate some of the impetus to be corrupt. If you are not angling for your next election, you do have some more freedom, although it's a fair argument to say, well, but you're still going to try to not screw over whoever is going to try to replace you from your party. So I think there are arguments to be made either way, but I believe that House and Senate, we should definitely be looking at term limits. Repentant Gamer has sent a $10 super chat. I was wondering if you saw the news article in the New York Times and Daily Beast that Emmanuel Macron's campaign managed to outsmart Russian hackers by giving them fake information on purpose. I did see the article, and in fact, I have it bookmarked. The article is it's from May 9th, called Hackers Came, but the French Were Prepared, in the New York Times. Very good article. If I don't get to talk about that on the regular show by Friday, I will probably talk about that on the bonus show because it's a very, very interesting story and everybody should check it out. Very interesting. Cool Drone Jones has sent a $2.22 super chat. Do you think we'll get past political tribalism? A yes or no answer to that question, I think, is less relevant than can we empower people through a better epistemology in terms of how we know what we know, how we gather information and sort of form our opinions. I think that there's a lot more to be gained there than just the sort of yes-no question of ending tribalism. Gamefire 586 has said, have you already talked about the breaking news of the Comey memos on this live stream? Comey was asked to drop the Mike Flynn thing. Yes, Gamefire, very good question. At the beginning of the stream, you can go back to it and check it out after. I did talk about that. Yes, Michael Flynn James Comey, fired FBI Director James Comey, wrote a memo saying, when I met with Trump in February, he told me, stop investigating Michael Flynn. And this is a breach of... Trump is saying, I shit on separation of powers, and I don't give a flying you-know-what about the independence of the judiciary. And it is an absolute and utter atrocious abortion that Donald Trump did that. And we're going to, believe me, we're going to dig into that in detail on tomorrow's show. Coco's dad sent a 20 Canadian dollar super chat. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. ML Romero sent a $5 super chat saying, just helping support the show. Thank you so much. And Coco's dad sending, I believe, a third 20 Canadian dollar super chat. Trump's campaign promise to bring back waterboarding may have been prophetic. He's blindly drowning himself while simultaneously giving the world's intelligence services control over the tap. Very poetic, Coco's dad. Very, very poetic. I think that there's a lot to what you're saying there. Very, very interesting. Okay, I'm humbled at the number of new members that are signing up during this live stream and helping us fight back against YouTube Adpocalypse. Let me say a big thank you to Wayne Anthony. Wayne Anthony went to davidpakman.com/membership, put in the coupon code IVoted17, got 40% off, and is now a member, getting access to, among other things, the daily members-only bonus show. Very, very popular member benefit. Michael Kennedy has signed up with the 40% discount at davidpakman.com/membership. Kimberly Mooney has signed up with the discount. Sharon Costello has signed up with the discount. Robert Zygmunt has signed up with a 40% discount. Claire Yang has signed up with a 40% discount. Thank you. Stephen Ernsky, as well as Joe Steppen. Stephen and Joe, thank you guys for signing up. Eugene Esch has signed up, as has Robin Van Meter, Jacob Saunders, and Axel Eskelin. Thank you. Thank you. We're doing what we can, right? In April, we had a record number of new members, about 1,000 new members at davidpakman.com/membership. And we also brought in about 1,500 patrons at patreon.com/davidpakmanshow. We've had several hundred new members so far in May, although it has slowed down because understandably the YouTube Adpocalypse situation has sort of become old news in a sense. And although the urgency for us hasn't changed, people can get fatigued, and I get that. And we're still stuck right around 1,500 patrons at patreon.com/davidpakmanshow. So we're trying to get to 2,000. Okay, so if you can throw in $1 or $2 there, it is much appreciated. We've got more super chats coming in. Ashley Deerolf has sent $1 super chat, no question or comment. Thanks very much, Ashley. Athena Harding has sent a $10 super chat. I really appreciate these live streams and how you interact directly with your audience. Well, thank you, Athena. Really, really appreciate that. And I like doing the live streams, and we'll keep them going. We do an hour show a day, and then we do an extra 15 minutes for our paid subscribers. So you're not going to fit the day's news into 75 minutes. And it's nice to be able to just kind of hang and answer questions from the audience, what's on people's minds. And it's great that we've got a fantastic team of moderators that are not allowing insane trolling to take hold. Some of these moderators we have overlap with on our Reddit discussion forum. And if you're not part of that, we're approaching 3,500 of our viewers and listeners at davidpakman.com/Reddit. There are really good discussions, political discussions that are happening on our Reddit. And in fact, our audience now that we have close to 3,500 people that visit our Reddit, that's enough people where often now when news breaks, I'm finding out about it because one of you posted an article or a link or a text post or whatever at our Reddit discussion forum. So please participate there. I'm on there. Producer Pat is there. And it's a great place to just exchange ideas. There are also some conservatives there. And by and large, they've been keeping it pretty clean, I have to tell you. They've been doing a very, very good job. Other stories I'm looking at for later this week. I did, as I mentioned earlier, I am looking at this story of how the Emmanuel Macron campaign sort of outsmarted Russian hackers in a sense when it came to those email hacks. I also want to talk about net neutrality. As if you probably know, if you've been watching the program for any length of time, that I've been talking about net neutrality for a very, very long time. And it appears as though a bunch of fake anti-net neutrality comments were sent to the FCC using names and addresses of people without their consent. In other words, not people that are actually against net neutrality. Their names were used by someone to send anti-net neutrality comments to the FCC, and that is that's pretty damn bad. And I'd like to talk about that story. We're also going to talk on. Oh, okay. Let me mention this because I saw a couple people send a comment about it. So in the tweet that went out today, teasing today's bonus show, there was something in there about soda at a cardiologist and what's that about. I was at the doctor yesterday, which is why I was broadcasting remotely yesterday. It was at a cardiology follow-up, and many of you already know the backstory of that. I won't dig into it now. And I told a story that a lot of people are already emailing me about related to available food and drink at my cardiologist's office. And I encourage you, if you sign up for membership at davidpakman.com/membership, that'll give you instant access to the bonus show. Check out today's bonus show and you'll get that entire story. And on that note, we have a number of new members here that have signed up even just in the last few minutes. Leslie Behan, as well as Dan Lennon. Who else here? Let me see if I can scroll. Bailey Shervin and Sean McQuarrie have all signed up at davidpakman.com/membership, and I really, really appreciate that. I'm actually going to get to work on preparing for tomorrow's program. Not short hours at the David Pakman Show. I appreciate everybody who joined me, appreciate everybody who signed up, and by all means, keep the Patreon pledges and new memberships coming, and we'll hopefully make up for what's going on with YouTube Adpocalypse.